another video, and I thought I'd get my Gibson SG out for this one because I've had this for like 6 months and I'm pretty sure it's only the second time it's been on the channel. So thought I'd get the SG out for today's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers Learning to Fly. So this track was released as a single for their 8th studio album, Into the Great Wide Open, which came out in 1991. And it kind of feels like it's got like an older feel to that, so I was quite surprised when I realised that it was 1991 that it came out. And the song did pretty well. It charted reasonably well on the generic charts, and it did get a #1 on a US album rock track chart, I'm pretty sure it was. So like I say, did pretty well. And Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, they were active for a long time, from 76 until 2017. And they were kind of most popular, I would say, in the early 80s, and then had various kind of resurgences in the 90s and early 2000s. And actually, after Nirvana, Dave Grohl was actually kind of on the cards to be their drummer, but he declined it to go on with, start up the Foo Fighters kind of thing. So it's mad how there's that little connection there as well. And this song, the reason why it's on the list is because for me it's got that really easy listening, refreshing, almost kind of summer breeze kind of sound to it, and it draws you in. And when a song has that kind of structure and sound, for me it becomes kind of timeless. And if we take mainstream media in general, from when that came out to today, we've got way better visuals. Our computers are better, our game graphics and pictures are better, our TVs are better. Everything in the mainstream that's visual is just improved. Whilst at the same time, anything audio in the mainstream, I'm talking, at the same time has just gone down and down and down. And that's kind of why I thought this song was older, because it has that older, like when people knew what they were doing with records and that, even though it's got that kind of mainstream radio friendly poppy kind of vibe to it, you wouldn't hear a song like that in mainstream Radio 1 today. It's almost like we've forgotten how to do that, how to make simple, well recorded songs. And for me, this song is exactly that. It's a simple song, but it sounds great, it's recorded well, and it's just all the simple things done well, if that makes sense. And because all this list, we're looking at songs that, as a guitar player, why do they kind of matter to me? And this song, with that kind of, like I said, summer breeze kind of sound in the background, it makes, it's really cool to learn that and lay it down as a foundation for the slide playing solo on it. Now, we're going to kind of learn it playing normally today, but obviously the notes and the frets are the same if you use a slide. And I will give the slide playing a go when we get to the lesson as well. But once you've kind of got this nailed down into your looper, it serves as a really good base to practice that slide solo, because it's reasonably simple, but nothing's simple on a slide. So having that background and that familiar sound really helps you dial in the kind of slide playing, if you like. So as I say, as a player, I think that there's quite a lot to take away from a really good old-fashioned simple song like this one. So with all of that being said, let's get on to the lesson. Alright then, so getting on to the lesson part of how I played it in the intro then. So the whole intro kind of riff is based around 4 chords. You've got the F, the C, the A minor, and the G. And there's a very kind of particular strumming pattern to it. But starting off with the F chord, first little tip is don't play it kind of like this. And the reason being is because if we play it with our thumb not really doing anything but just over the top, transitioning between the chords is as easy as that, instead of messing around with all this sort of stuff. So I highly recommend starting the F this way. So we've got A string 3rd fret with our 3rd finger, D string 3rd fret with our little finger, middle finger 2nd fret on the G string, 1st finger 1st fret on the B string, and then we're kind of using the meat of this finger to kind of mute the high E. And then we're kind of just strumming it, and our thumb it's sort of muting the low E here, but it's not fretting anything, it's just up here ready for our transition, if you like. So that's our first chord. And then when we go into the C, it's a very comfortable transition, and all we're doing to go to the C is lifting up our little finger and moving our middle finger over one string to the D on the 2nd fret. So we got in the F position, little finger comes up, middle finger comes over one to the 2nd fret of the D, D string, and that gives us our C chord. One little tip on the C chord just in general, especially when you're playing it like this. So we got our C chord. If we chuck in the low E on the 3rd fret as well, so without that, with that, it can be a really cool way to fatten up that C chord. And if you're playing this sort of stuff on your own, it's just really cool to bring in a bit of low end there. So and the transition as well is super easy in that shape, because all we're doing is, instead of coming from our F to our C, we're kind of keeping this shape with our middle, 3rd and little fingers and bringing the whole shape over one string. So we end up with 3rd fret low E with our 3rd finger, 3rd fret A string with our little finger, and 2nd fret D string with our middle finger, and the 1st finger stays exactly where it is on the 1st fret of the B string. So we get this. Or we just do a normal C. But I just thought it'd be worth, since we came across this C chord, to throw that in there, because it can be a real cool thing to do. Just try it whenever you come across a C chord and see if you prefer it, kind of thing. So rhythm wise then, I don't really kind of count. Like I say, I always say to have the song on and get those rhythms and patterns kind of in your ear and then translate it to guitar. But if I was kind of counting, just roll the guitar off a minute, I would sort of count it, because we don't want to be doing this. We don't want it to sound like sort of 4 on the floor. Because then we haven't got that kind of, like I said before, the summer breeze kind of swing and feel to it. So counting wise, I would go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you were going to count it, I would do it like that, because if you just go like 1, 2, 3, 1, you know that when you're changing chords, you're keeping that kind of groove going. So in your head, if you can count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, and then listen to kind of how the groove goes, you'll hear it kind of like that. So that's kind of a good way to kind of count it. But as I say, I never count it like that. And that's probably why that sounds a little bit ass backwards way of counting. I just kind of try and absorb the song and then play it. But if you are going to count, that's kind of how I'd count it. So just rounding up the rest of the chords then. Like I said, we got the F to the C. And then we're going to an A minor, which is just D string, 2nd fret with your middle finger, G string, 2nd fret with your 3rd finger. And our 1st finger stays where it's been all along so far, on the 1st fret of the B. And we finish that on the G string. So the way I'm playing the G there is 2nd finger, 3rd fret of the low E, and that's kind of muting then the A as well. And then we got open D, open G, 3rd fret B, 3rd fret E. You just get quite a nice clean G sort of sound. So now what we're going to do is bring in our trusty old looper friend to get that dialed in, and then we'll go over the other 2 little bits that we did in the intro as well. So looping it in. just turn the loop up. And then what we want to kind of do when that loop is going round is arpeggiate the same chords and kind of just play anything but the high E string. Sort of like that, and then we have that in our looper as well then. So what I mean by arpeggiate then is just, so we've got those 4 chords, and as the kind of riff goes round, just pick kind of any of the notes other than the high E string when you're in that chord. And then just kind of rotate it around. And again, because of the way we've started off playing this F and C chords, it's very, very quick and easy to transition, even as we're kind of arpeggiating the notes. It gives us one less thing to worry about. If I was doing it like this, it's just more difficult to kind of change chords. So that gives us then the whole bass line and the backing track, if you like, to play one of the solos of the song. So let's give that a quick go as well. And this is on slide. I haven't played slide, as I'm sure some of you have been screaming out already. I'm playing it with my fingers to kind of get the notes under our fingers, and we can use this as a good jumping off point for slide, and I will give the slide a go in just a minute, even though I'm no slide player. But for the solo, this is kind of what we're looking for. If I just play it again. So that's kind of what we're looking for on the solo then. And what we want to do is, it's on the G and B strings to start. And starting from the G string 12th fret, slide to the 17th of the G. And then kind of pick the 17th of the B and do a little sort of vibrato on it. So we got... And again, with a slide, it's the same notes, but you'll get a closer kind of sound. But much harder to intonate the slide, as you just heard. But that's kind of the notes we got. So we got the 12th G string, slide into the 17th, and then the 17th on the B as well. And we kind of want to use our first finger to play both notes. And then we're moving over to the B and E strings, and we're doing a 6 to 8 slide on the B. And I'll use my middle finger for that. And then 8th fret of the high E. So it's the same sort of riff, just in 2 different places. And with that one, you kind of want to hold it kind of still without vibrato for a little while, and then kind of shake it off at the end of it, kind of thing. Sort of like that. In context with the actual loop. Kind of like that. And then for this other bit then, so you finish off with a... And this is where we're going to kind of emulate slide playing a little bit. So on the B string, 8th back to 6, and then back to 8 as like a slide. So B string, 8, 6, 8, all in slide. And then pick the 8th fret of the high E. Sort of like that. And then 8, slide back to 6. and then a pre-bend, so we're coming down to the G string, 7th fret, it's like a pre-bend to emulate that slide kind of sound. So that little section together. So when we go back on the B and slide back, it's kind of a quick slide. So imagine it in 2 sections. You got there. And that sort of pre-bend, you want to make sure you've bent the note before you play it. So that in context, we'll play it through again. And then we're kind of doing our false slide impression again on the A and D strings. It is the 8th to begin, and then we slide that to the 10th on the A string. So 8 to 10, and then 10 on the D string. And kind of do that similar thing where we kind of vibrato it off at the end. Right, I'm going to try now, completely off the cuff, to play that with a slide over the backing track. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because up to now, we've built ourselves quite a cool backing track to practice the slide in such a way where it's not, you know, we can really dial in our intonation, which is the hardest thing to do on a slide. The second hardest thing to do on a slide is find a slide that you actually like, which I have yet to do. But I've got this little glass one for now. So let's try and give it a go. So very, very, very hard to play slide, and you know, obviously it's something I haven't had a great deal of practice in. But point being, a song like this, I could now, you know how to do that backing track, loop that, and slowly but surely actually practice with this thing and get better at it. So again, that's one of the whole points of this list, is it's what tracks and parts of tracks inspire you to pick things up, and you can use them to kind of get over your next little plateau, if you like. So hopefully all of that made sense and you enjoyed the lesson, and I will see you on another one very, very soon.